So, a little while back, I released a video covering what I believe to be the worst boss of each Kingdom Hearts game. And I want to thank you guys so much for making that video as popular as you did. Really made my heart warm seeing all the upvotes and agreements and just all the general discussion around it. So, this time around, I decided to myself, hey, let's do a video about what I believe the best boss fight is in each game. Now, this will follow the same as the first video. No games like Melody of Memory, Fragmentary Passage, or the mobile games for all the reasons before. And before we start, remember to like and sub if you enjoy the content, and with that shameless plug out of the way, let's get started. So, starting off this list is not only what I consider to be the best fight in Kingdom Hearts 1, but also the best Riku fight in the entire series. The battle with the Ansem-controlled Riku, or should we just call him Ansem-ku? We're going to call him Ansem-ku because that's funnier. The battle with Ansem-ku starts off with the shocking twist that Kairi's heart has always been inside Sora this entire journey, making Sora the last true gateway to opening Kingdom Hearts. So Ansem-ku decides, in order to release it, he's going to kill Sora. But right when Ansem-ku is about to strike him down, Kairi's voice rings in Sora's ears, and he blocks the attack, showing a strong resolve to keep Ansem-ku from taking Kairi's heart. The fight then begins. An intense one-on-one between darkness and light. Ansem-ku himself possesses a very wide range of attacks that combo very well into long and short range nature combos. From sword cuts that can fly at you, to his crazy dark aura attack that teleports him all around the arena, all the while accompanied by an awesome OST that really pronounces together the whole weight of the fights. The Ansem-ku battle is one of the best examples of how to do a one-on-one boss fight perfectly. Yep, a Riku fight is once again taking the spot for the best boss in the game, but this time in the form of a replica version of him from the Riku Chain of Memory side story known as Reverse Rebirth. Really great story if you haven't played it. Genuinely recommend anyone to play this. It's probably one of the best pieces of Kingdom Hearts content. But enough fanboying. Now, while I think this battle is a lot of fun, it is still just kinda the Riku 4 fight in Sora's story. So what exactly elevates it? What makes it the best fight in the game? Well, that's its thematic weight to the whole thing. A big part of Replica's character is his urge to be more than a fake version of the real Riku. He wants to be Riku. He doesn't want to be a fake. It gets to the point where he just straight up fucking kills Zexion just because Axel convinces him it'll make him strong enough to become the real Riku. So when he finally confronts the real Riku in Twilight Town, all the insecurities he has about being a fake spill out right in front of him, and he challenges Riku to one final duel. The battle to decide if a phony can be more than what's real. And when the battle is over, and you have finally proven you're worthy of being the real Riku, you watch him perish. And you honestly can't help but feel for him. This kind of emotional weight to the battle adds onto more than just a fun boss fight. There's meaning, there's weight, there's a conclusion you genuinely feel sad about. And that's why I believe it's such a good battle. Not only is it fun, it's moving. And it even makes you wonder, could things have been different? Oh hell yeah, now this was an awesome fight. Xemnas is not only the best fight in Kingdom Hearts 2 to me, it's also arguably the best fight in the entire franchise hands down. The fight is nothing but pure intense hype from start to finish. Hell, it literally starts out with Sora slicing through buildings. You can't start it out better than that, just try. But enough with the fanboying. What makes this fight so good? Well, for starters, it's just how incredibly well executed it is. The first start of this big 4-phase battle is crazy. The first phase has you going up against what is essentially an entire city, which is where the building slicing comes from. Then it has you climb onto the thrusters that he's using for the giant city. You destroy them by slamming nobodies into them. Then the second part of Phase 1 has you destroy an entire generator while there are hordes of nobodies trying to rip you apart. And then it goes to Xemnas on a throne, and you have to battle him. And then after that's beaten, you think everything's all good and done. You think you've saved the day. But then you have this giant dragon nobody appear, and Sora and Riku hop on this crazy motorbike, and it turns into this absolutely over-the-top shooter section. And then you battle him while he's jumping off from building to building to get over to where he is. And then it begins Phase 4, where it's Sora and Riku against Xemnas, in the empty, white void of pure nothingness. The battle is fast. Xemnas hits you with combo after combo, and you have to dodge them and counter in all of the right ways. And then it ends in one of the most spectacular moments. Sora is captured, it swaps over to Riku, Riku saves Sora, and then they're back to back. An army of Xemnas' lasers closing in on them, and you have to press X and triangle respectively to deflect them all. It is the most hype moment in the series. Oh god, just saying this makes me want to fight the boss again. It is so good. The Xemnas fight is the perfect mix of awesome action and completely hype moments that feel like the perfect example of how to make the ultimate final battle. So, I'm pretty sure I've made it clear by now I'm not a big fan of 358 over 2 days. Due to me, mentioning it in my videos and complaining about it a few times on Twitter. And I still definitely think that it's the weakest game in the series. But I gotta admit, the Xion boss fight is truly something special. So the fight starts off with Xion coming to talk to Roxas after he leaves the organization. And after some back and forth, Xion pulls her hood down to reveal she's basically turned into Sora at this point. I'm gonna be honest, this actually kind of jump scared me when I first saw it. With the knowledge that Sora won't awaken if one of them isn't destroyed, she chooses to battle Roxas in a one-on-one battle, which turns into one of the most intense battles in the entire series. One incredible aspect of this battle is how each phase of this boss battle not only takes place in a different area, but each battle utilizes an all-new moveset and design, making each fight feel truly unique. My personal favorite is the Agrabah one, just because of how awesome it looks. And then finally you face her final form, floating in front of the clock tower. A dark pit forms in you as you realize that you must kill Xion right where you two first ever became friends. And once you strike her down, you are treated to one of the saddest moments in the series. While I think that the combat does kind of hurt these fights a bit, there's no doubt this boss's pure spectacle, creativity, and emotional weight make it an outright banger. So, Recoded is a pretty interesting game to look at in its boss design, as it's basically similar to Chain of Memories in the concept of fighting several of the same bosses as in the first game with some added twists, and then adding its own set of new bosses as well. And the one that won me over was the Roxas boss fight at the end of the game. Now, in order to reach this boss, you have to go through basically one of the most tedious sections in the Kingdom Hearts franchise, with the alternate world card system for Casual Oblivion. After you do this, however, you are treated to a cutscene of the data versions of them talking about the concept of facing pain and hurt. There's a lot more to it, but it would take a long time for me to explain, and we'd be here a lot longer than needed for just talking about the best boss fights. So let's just get into the fight as a whole. I've always been a massive fan of fights that are just straight up one-on-ones. You and only one opponent in a good old-fashioned duel, and this fight pulls it off very well. I loved flying around the arena with the command deck to match his fast combos and crazy lasers. It really felt like a great battle between equals. I also love the fact that he has a debuff ability. You see, Kingdom Hearts DS games really like to experiment more with debuffs, and I liked that. I'm honestly kind of bummed they didn't really experiment with this more. It would have been cool to see, tie in more of those Final Fantasy elements. Another point I want to give this fight is that unlike 2, you actually get to fight Roxas. For some context, in the original Kingdom Hearts 2 on the PS2, you run into Roxas in the final level of the game. But instead of fighting him, it just plays a cutscene instead. They did release a Final Mix version in Japan that gave you this fight, but Westerners didn't get this particular version until they were remastered on the PS3. So for the longest time, the Roxas battle in Recoded was our only boss fight of him. How about that, huh? Gave you a little bit of some Kingdom Hearts trivia with this pick. But enough patting myself on the back. This fight made the list because it just did this one-on-one battle right, but it also gave us what 2 didn't, and that was a true clash between Roxas and Sora, even if they were just data in the end. So, I'm pretty certain some people were expecting something like the Vanitas boss or Terranort, but nah, I personally think the best fight in the game is the Trinity armor. Not only due to just how much I like the concept of its build-up and execution, I really like how each character chases after a piece of the armor in Radiant Garden, which in turn leads to each of them getting their own unique cutscenes. I love that Aqua gets to meet Kairi and Mickey before chasing after it, Terra gets to meet Merlin and we get to see Pooh Bear's book, and Ventus meets Scrooge McDuck and gets passes to Disney Town, leading to that hilarious scene of Ventus saying he needs to bring 2 grown-ups. God, you still gotta feel bad for that guy. Like, everyone just treats him as a kid the whole time. But anywho, the fight as a whole is honestly really cool. I love the concept of a giant enemy you have to destroy piece by piece by piece to defeat it. And each body part you destroy has its own health bar, making it feel more like a 3-on-3 battle than just a simple 3-on-1 fight. Also, for what is a mid-game boss fight, it possesses a surprisingly large amount of attacks. From a giant laser that follows you around the arena, to breaking apart the armor to spin around and hit you, to connecting together body parts to create an energy beam to hit you with. It's a really impressive amount of variety for a mid-game battle. Also, I want to add on that this is one of the only times throughout the entire game where Terra, Ventus, and Aqua team up to fight a boss. To be honest, I was always kind of disappointed with how little these 3 all teamed up throughout each playthrough, so stuff like this was always a genuine treat to me. I just wish they did it more. You know, it's kind of interesting looking back at the kind of bosses I fought in previous games and seeing how that I once looked at them as annoying and how later over time they turned into my favorites. And I think the best example of this is the young Xehanort boss fight in Kingdom Hearts 3D. Now, when I was younger, I didn't like this fight. Not due to thinking it was bad, but just because I didn't really get how it worked. But after revisiting it, I've grown to really like it for many reasons. The first being the moveset. Throughout the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise, you barely ever fight any time-controlling enemies. So his moveset really stands out. The fact he can combine things like energy whips with slowing down time made dodging his moves really stressful and a ton of fun to counter him on. I also really like the idea of the reality shift mechanic. Breaking through reality itself to find the young Xehanort in a different area was super satisfying to pull off. Another point to it is who you actually use to fight him. Instead of facing the final boss as someone like Sora, you actually face him as Riku in order to save Sora. It was such a cool twist to add into the game. That kind of stuff is what really made me believe it belongs on this list. Plus, young Xehanort is such a smug little asshole, so beating his ass always, and I mean always, feels satisfying. Wrapping it up with a DLC boss may seem like a strange end to the list to some people, but for me, no boss really exemplifies what I love about Kingdom Hearts combat more than Yozora does. Now, in order to unlock this guy, you have to defeat not only the Remind DLC, but also the 13 super challenging boss fights that come after. Once those have been beaten, you unlock the Yozora boss. And man, oh man, what a spectacle it is. Not only does this fight look absolutely stunning, possessing one of the most beautiful cutscenes I had ever seen on the PS4, and an absolutely intense beginning with him just fucking ready to throw hands with you once you admit you're Sora. The Yozora boss itself has some of the most insane combos and techniques I've ever seen from the series. From attacks that can temporarily permanently lower your health, to crazy combos that drain you down to 1 in just one simple attack combo, to even stealing your weapon, leaving you absolutely defenseless, to just so many more. The amount of attack patterns this boss has is absolutely crazy. The effort put into him pretty much makes every other boss in the mainline game feel almost lazy in comparison. And that's pretty wild considering that some of these bosses are really, really good. Along with the addition of being able to get a separate ending if you win or lose, and trust me, you're going to lose a lot, he's insanely brutal. Coupled with an absolutely gorgeous soundtrack, this boss is a masterpiece for the series. And I hope everyone else who fights him loves it as much as I did, even if he ends up beating your ass 16 ways to Sunday. And that is the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching this. If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like and a sub for more content. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see y'all next time.